Hello, Conrad and Lucy and Caleb. Looky what Papa has here. The origin of Captain America, destined to become the most honored series in the Marvel Age of Comics. Read what the editor has to say. Out of the dark, dramatic, danger packed years of World War II, out of the still smoldering ashes of the fateful past, the mighty Marvel Comics group dares to revive with glowing passion and intoxicating pride the origin of Captain America. Look at the date of this story, 1941, and see the swastika and Captain America, of course. And here is reintroducing Cap's sensational sidekick, Bucky Barnes. So this story is set during the time of World War II. You need to ask your dad about World War II. He spends so much of his energy and passion on uniforms from this era. He is an expert on World War II, and so he can tell you a lot about this time frame. And so we're going to be looking at stories from that time period for the next several Papa videos. All right, a standing gag during the draft days of World War II was anybody who could make it to the draft board under his own steam was healthy enough to be in uniform. For those were desperate days. This fellow says, "I've got a bad case of hay fever, Doc." "That so?" asks Doc. "The Army will keep you supplied with handkerchiefs. You'll pass." And even as America was flexing her mighty armed muscles, enemy agents were at work doing what they could to chip away at America's growing arsenal of freedom. And so look, these enemy agents destroy a production plant. One of them says, "Ha, that is one plant that will produce no more weapons for the accursed Allies. These two guys are Nazi sympathizers. Boo, bad guys." But the March of Liberty can never be halted. Democracy struck back with arms, with men, with the top secret Manhattan Project, and with one of the strangest experiments of all time. The President Roosevelt asks, "How are you coming with Operation Rebirth, General?" The general says, "Everything is ready, sir. As soon as the chemical is perfected, we move." Operation Rebirth, what is that? "The chemical is perfected, gentlemen. I suggest we proceed at once." "Dr. Anderson, then the time has come at last." The president says, "There is nothing more to be sped. I wish you Godspeed." Moments later, a speeding car reaches a gloomy looking curio shop on a shabby side street. Inside, a fellow says, "They are waiting for us inside." Led by a high-ranking intelligence agent, the two generals, now in civilian clothes, enter the silent shop. One general says, "I believe you are expecting us." "I expect nobody," answers the woman. And look, she's pulling out a gun. "Identify yourselves to my satisfaction or die." And the intelligence officer says, "I commend your caution, Agent R. The watchword is rebirth shall occur this night." "Say no more," she answers. "You will all follow me." It's hard to believe that this gloomy shop is the most important piece of real estate in the free world today. "Silence," says the woman. "There must be no unnecessary talk. Nothing must distract us from the great experiment." Reaching the top floor, the small party walks through a hidden doorway to enter one of the most completely equipped labs in the Western Hemisphere. And the scientist says, "Take your places, gentlemen. We have 30 seconds." And look, here's a helmeted operator with a fancy machine. And the woman peels off her mask. At last I can divest myself of this disguise. The die is cast. Nothing can change things now. Do not be shocked, gentlemen. What you are soon about to see will make you forget all these melodramatic precautions. Bring in the volunteer, says the scientist. It has taken us months to find the proper 4F specimen whose body will react properly to our new tissue building chemical. 4F means that he is so weak and sick that he was rejected by the draft. Here he comes now. And there he is, with obvious nervousness, yet with a firm, fearless tread. A thin, somewhat sickly-looking youth enters the lab, walking slowly, silently towards the unknown. Step forward, Rogers. Yes, this is Steve Rogers. Steve Rogers, too puny, too sickly to be accepted by the Army. Steve Rogers, chosen from hundreds of similar volunteers because of his courage, his intelligence, and his willingness to risk death for his country if the experiment should fail. The doctor says, "You must drink this quickly before the chemicals lose their potency. Good luck, my boy." So he drinks it down. If we have erred, Rogers will be dead within seconds, for he is drinking the strongest chemical potion ever created by man. But if we succeed, he will be the first of an army of fighting men, such as the world has never known. His reflexes, his physical condition, his courage will be second to none. This experiment has been so well guarded that only Dr. Erskine knows the formula, and he has committed it to memory. There are no written notes for enemy agents to steal. The other fellow says, but if we're successful, we'll produce the potion in quantity, giving it to all our fighting men. Look, says another, something is happening to Rogers. He's changing right before our eyes. Everything is spinning around. I'm blacking out. I must hang on. Hang on. The doctor says, it's working. Don't give up, son. Hold on. This is the moment of crisis. You must survive it. And then it is over. The crisis has passed, and the land of the free has a new champion, a new defender, born in an hour of need, destined to be a living symbol of the glory that is America. But despite the unprecedented security measures, despite every precaution, the dread specter of Nazism appears at that triumphant instant in the form of a desperate, murderous Gestapo spy from Germany. And he says, you and your accursed experiment shall die within this room. Heil Hitler! And he shoots. Down with democracy, down with freedom. The Third Reich shall live forever. Pow! Dr. Erskine, save yourself, my boy, says Dr. Erskine with his last breath. Save, and he collapses in Steve Rogers' arms. The other officer says, take cover, I'll stop that murderous Nazi. But Steve Rogers, the man who had been Steve Rogers, moves with the speed of thought. No, it's my job. It's what I was created to do. And the other fellow says, he's right, stay back. This is his first test, his baptism of fire. And with his newfound strength and agility, he grabs the Nazi and grabs his gun before he can kill anyone else with it. Dr. Erskine is dead, and his formula has died with him. There can be no more like me, but I shall fight for all those who might have been. And he tosses away the enemy. And the enemy thinks he's unbeatable. I've got to escape. Stop, you fool, says Steve. You're running towards the electrical omniverter. Look out. But the Nazi just says, stay away. You'll never get me? I'll wit you all. I am a Nazi. I am supreme. But then he runs into the machine and boom! The enemy dies. But thus a champion of freedom is born, and a foe of liberty meets his death in a truly symbolic revelation of things to come. Then, in the days that follow, Steve Rogers is given a dramatic new identity by the High Command, garbed in a memorable costume, armed with a mighty shield, spurred on by an unquenchable love of liberty. Captain America blazes into action with the dazzling speed and power of a red, white, and blue rocket. And so he tosses his shield at the enemy. The enemy shoots aimlessly. And look at the headlines. Captain America captures spy ring. Saboteurs fail. Captain America prevents dam explosion. Captain America awards highest honor. Striking terror to the hearts of enemy agents, the man now known throughout the world as Captain America never pauses in his relentless battle against the foes of freedom, and he crashes through this wall with his motorcycle and his shield. Crash! Alone and unaided, armed with naught save his dauntless courage, his fighting skill, his shining shield, the mighty sentinel of liberty seems to be everywhere, guarding our vital defense plants against those who would destroy them. Boom! And he tosses aside the enemy agent. And while a grateful nation ponders Captain America's true identity, the valiant defender conceals it beneath the uniform of an army private. And here's the sergeant. He's hollering, "You bumbling meathead, is that the only position you know?" "What other position do you want, Sarge?" asks Private Steve Rogers. "I'll do the talking, Rogers. You just snap to it. Parade rest." And Private Rogers puts his rifle down right on top of the sergeant's toe. "Ow! Not on my foot, you blasted idiot!" Uh-oh, poor Private Rogers is in hot water with the Sarge again. What a great secret identity. "You clumsy knucklehead, if you don't get on the ball, I'll make you think you were born on KP." Private Rogers says, "Did I do something wrong, Sarge?" "Oh, what's the use? I wonder how much the Germans are paying Rogers to stay on our side." Private Rogers thinks, "The Sarge is a right guy. I hate riding him, but it's the way I've got to play it to keep suspicion off me." And this fella says, "Better stay out of his way for a while, Steve. He doesn't pick on me because I'm the camp mascot." All right, so the editor says this is Bucky Barnes. When his GI father died in training, Fort Lehigh adopted the orphaned boy as camp mascot. And Bucky goes on to say, "I'd sure hate to be in your shoes, fella." "Forget it, Bucky. Come on to the PX. I'll buy you a Coke." And then look, here's a newspaper that says Captain America nabs new spy ring. That's okay by me, Steve. Say, isn't it something about this Captain America, Joe? And so Bucky Barnes is impressed with the news about Captain America. He doesn't know he's talking to him. "Boy, wouldn't it be great to have a guy like him around here?" "Who needs him, Bucky?" retorts Steve. "You've got me, haven't you?" "What a guy. You're always clowning, Steve," says Bucky. But one night, the most fateful night of his life, the teenager Bucky stumbles onto one of the nation's most closely guarded secrets. "I hate barging in this way, Steve," says Bucky. "Could I borrow your—" "Steve, that costume, that face mask. Now I see it. Holy smoke! It can't be. It's you. You're Captain America. Wow." Hey, Conrad, why don't you go grab your Captain America shield? You can pretend to be Steve Rogers and Captain America. I was careless, says Steve. I should have faced the tent entrance. But now what am I going to do with you? Gosh, Cap, says Bucky, there's only one thing you can do. You've got to let me share your mission. Now that I know your secret, I'll be your partner. You've got to, Cap. Captain America says, looks like I've got no choice. If this was the Third Reich, I'd have to shoot you to keep the secret safe. But we don't do things like that way. It's a deal, lad. From now on, it'll be Captain America and Bucky. But you'll need training, lots of it. I'm going to work you, boy, day and night, as though your life depends on it, because it will. And so, one of the most famous fighting teams of all time is born, Captain America and Bucky. Months later, after the most intense period of training any youth has ever undergone, Bucky is given his uniform and his first challenge. And so Captain America rushes onto the field with his shield. Take your cue from me, lad. Remember everything I've taught you. Don't worry, Cap, says Bucky. I won't let you down. And he follows close behind. My suspicions were right, says Cap. That was a Nazi sub I sighted offshore. And now there's a raiding party carrying explosives to damage our shoreline installations. But there are so many of them, says Bucky. What can we do? Well, says Cap, I was hoping you'd ask. Then, without a second's hesitation, the costumed champion of democracy hurls himself at the dumbfounded saboteurs, and he kicks them with both of his feet. Sorry, boys, no more sightseeing tours for the duration. And in case you think I'm kidding, wham! He throws himself into another batch, jarring their shots awry. I'll stop him mit this machine gun. If it means I kill our own men also, it will be worth it. And then here comes Bucky. He thinks, here's where Cap's training separates the men from the boys. Hold it, Fritz, he hollers. Cap is the only partner I've got. And Bucky leaps on the guy. I'm not about to lose him to a creep like you. And so he jams the helmet down over his head. Bucky, hollers Cap, heads up, others rushing you from behind. Thanks for the warning, Cap, but I was kind of expecting it. And so he takes the gun and he knocks this fella down at his knees. Say, that's a pretty neat dance step, mister, but it'll never replace the jitterbug. The fella falls down. Insolent swine, your juvenile taunts cannot save you now. I'll clang. You'll nothing, Nazi, hollers Cap. Your show is over. You've had it. Wow, hollers Bucky. Strike three. He's out, Cap. All right, you guys know baseball enough to know what strike three means. It means they're out. They're finished with that inning. We'll just tie you boys here for safekeeping. We wouldn't want you stubbing your toes on our foreign shore. What about their sub, Cap? It's still waiting for them out there. You're right, Bucky, and we don't want them to get impatient, so just help me angle their raft so the tide will take it in the right direction. It's mighty nice of you to load it up with their own explosives, Cap. After all, we don't want to keep what doesn't belong to us. And so look at all this dynamite loaded onto this raft. Cap and Bucky pull it out to sea. Wow, you figured the tide just right, Mr. Rogers. It's going to hit. You've never been more perceptive, Mr. Barnes. And now I suggest we return to shore. Boom! Hear that, little partner? It's like a symphony, Cap. The sound of the submarine. blowing up with their own explosives. Before we return to base, lad, I want you to know I'm proud of you. From now on, it's going to be Captain America and Bucky for as long as the free world has need of us. And I've got a hunch that'll be a long time. And as the world well knows, the rest is history. Cap and his young fighting sidekick become the two most honored names in all of adventuredom. Never has their luster tarnished. Never can their glory fade. More headlines. Captain America and Bucky triumph again. And now, the biggest surprise announcement of all. Each following issue of Suspense will feature a new adventure of Cap and Bucky based on their World War II exploits. You'll see them as they were in the past, fighting Nazis, spies, saboteurs, bringing the majesty of the golden age of comics into this, the new and mighty Marvel age. Well, I know you want to see what's coming next, so hang on and I'll set it up for you. Enter the Red Skull. The Red Skull strikes. This is one of Captain America and Bucky's greatest enemies from the World War II era. This will be a great story. In fact, a great series of stories that starts with the very next Papa video. So hang in with me. I'll be back soon. Love y'all. Bye-bye.